businesses in our country from this tariff terror that is being instilled into the hearts of small business people all across our nation. And so I'm here to make sure that we get this message out, that the National Chamber of Commerce wants an exemption for the small businesses of our country, and that that is a goal which the Democrats have. We just have to get them out of this crossfire. If big businesses want to fight it out, let them fight it out. But we can't have small businesses caught in this battle. And I just asked unanimous consent to pass my legislation, the Small Business Liberation Act, out of the Senate. Our Republican colleagues blocked our efforts to provide relief to small businesses, doubling down on President Trump's reckless and destructive policies for Main Street. We are now 7 weeks removed from President Trump's so-called Liberation Day, which was supposed to usher in a golden age for our country. For America's 34 million small businesses, though, the Trump administration has instead ushered in a dark age of peril and uncertainty every single day, as long as these tariffs stay in place, as long as there's a threat of even higher tariffs beginning in yet another 6 weeks. Trump's Liberation Day tariffs have been more like Obliteration Day. They've cost small businesses tens of billions of dollars. Small business owners across the country that ordered goods thinking they were paying one price were shocked to find a big tariff bill courtesy of Donald Trump included with their merchandise. Just one example. A children's store in Nantucket was shocked to find that they owed $1,266 in tariffs for a $3,100 order. The business, Pinwheels, has been around for 36 years and survived hurricanes and pandemics, but Donald Trump has threatened to put them out of business in a matter of months. And the story is the same at coffee shops and restaurants and everyday corner stores across Massachusetts and across our country. Even Walmart, the world's largest retailer, says it cannot absorb the cost of tariffs. We can only imagine how these tariffs are crushing mom and pop shops. So the president can try to bully Walmart and say, don't increase your products' prices because of the tariffs, and maybe bully Walmart. But small businesses on Main Street, they don't have that option. They don't have that extra cash in their pocket. They have to raise their prices, or they have to go out of business. That's their option. And what President Trump just doesn't get is that these tariffs are devastating to small businesses and that many will be forced to close permanently as a result. This isn't short-term pain. This is a small business death sentence. Small businesses can't survive trying to predict the president's erratic behavior. They are being paralyzed. They're hesitant to place orders with no idea what tariffs will be weeks or months from now. This administration's tariff policies have changed more than 50 times since he took office. This current tariff pause isn't relief. It is more needless whiplash for small businesses that need certainty for the future. Treasury Secretary Bessent warned on Sunday that tariffs would return to reciprocal levels on April 2nd, meaning on top of the 10% tariffs that are in place now since April 1st, that they're going to impose, for example, for the EU, another 20% for everything coming in from the EU. Now, how many of our small businesses import some product from Europe to put on their shelves? We have some here today. They might speak to that. What, a 30% tax on those goods? So I hear Republicans saying, let's give a tax break to small businesses in America in the president's tax bill. Well, I think they're missing that these small businesses could have a 30% increase in their taxation from this tariff, just for the products coming in from Europe. That's what they're advocating. That's what they won't stand up to protect against. They keep throwing out more red herrings. We need an aquarium to keep track of all the red herrings that the Republicans are throwing out. This is an existential threat to businesses. It took the U.S. 38 days to come to an agreement with just one of our allies, the United Kingdom, We can only imagine how long it's going to take to get an agreement with 100 countries in the world. 100. It won't happen by July 1st. But the cloud hangs over all small businesses, that there could be, and again, we'll just take Europe, a 20% increase in taxes for all products coming in for Europe in July. Small businesses can't afford to have Trump's reckless tariffs return in just a few short days. We need to ensure that they get the relief that they need, they get the certitude which they need, they get the peace of mind which they deserve. They should be focusing upon how to market their products on Main Street to their customers, expand to the next town over, to have more people coming in. They shouldn't have to worry about Europe or Japan or India or other countries in the world in terms of where their product's coming from. They should be able to figure out how to have that product be sold to their neighbors. So this nonsense has to stop. And otherwise, we're going to see long-term businesses, which are fixtures that define our communities. The names of those companies on Main Street are the identity that a child grows up recognizing. It's like the library, it's like the school. Also, those companies. You know, everyone who grows up knows the name of those stores. And when they go home, they're home because they can see those stores. Well, they're all jeopardized on Main Street all across our country. I hope that my Republican colleagues have the courage to stand up, because we're going to give them other opportunities to be able to show that they really do care about small businesses. We have some great leaders here with us today. First, I'm going to ask Eva Stlair, co-founder and chief creative officer of Princess Awesome in Washington, D.C., to please come over and tell us about your business.
Thank you so much for saying those things, which is the first time that I have heard a politician actually explain clearly what is happening to us. I'm Eva Stlair, one of the co-founders of the company Princess Awesome. My business partner and I saw a need in the children's clothing market for girls' items with dinosaurs, rockets, trains, and trucks. So we wanted clothes that reflected our girls' interests, so we built a company to make them. Over the past 12 years, we've grown Princess Awesome into an e-commerce store stocking manufactured products from factories around the world. We have served over 65,000 customers, and we make many different types of clothes, not just for girls, but for all kids and adults too, because pretty much everyone wants to wear clothes with dinosaurs and science and math, and Godzilla. I'm here today because President Trump's tariff-induced economic chaos has put my business in a precarious financial position. Other countries do not pay tariffs on goods imported into America. American businesses pay them. I pay them. When my products come to port from Bangladesh in September, I will be handed a bill from the United States government for 37% of their cost. That is more than my margin on the products. I will have to take out a loan to cover this. I can barely cover the new 10% global tariff rate for goods coming from Peru, with whom we're supposed to have a free trade agreement. I expect to pay taxes and customs fees as part of running my business. But taxes are supposed to be introduced with congressional approval and with a clear plan and a timeline for their implementation and collection. None of that has happened here. Congress did not authorize these tax hikes. No one, including the president, has any idea what the tariff rate for any country will be tomorrow, let alone 6 months from now. I can't possibly plan or adapt this quickly. So my choices are to cut back and sell less, or risk a costly import that will leave me insolvent. I am one of 34 million small business owners attempting to cope with this absolute chaos. We don't have venture capital or publicly traded stock options or an escape hatch like bankruptcy to insulate ourselves from shock storm markets, like big corporations do. The Senate could have taken an important step today to protect millions of small businesses from the devastating impacts of President Trump's tariffs by passing the Small Business Liberation Act. But it failed. So I too now face failure, along with all the other small businesses that my business supports.
Beautiful job.
Thank you.
Beautiful job. Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from Michael Bray, owner of Hobbyworks in Laurel, Maryland. Welcome.
Thank you, Senator. And again, thank you for saying those things. We need more politicians to say those things in exactly that way. My name is Mike Bray. I'm the president of Bray Corp. In this area, we're best known for operating the Hobbyworks stores in the DC area. We sell trains, models, remote control cars, boats, planes, drones, all the cool stuff. Through our over 200 suppliers, we source products from all over the world, primarily Germany, Mexico, Taiwan, Japan, and of course, China. In just the past few months, we've received thousands of price changes from our suppliers, with more being announced weekly. In fact, I showed your aides a spreadsheet I got today of 50, the rules set by 50 of our suppliers. This strains our resources, is eating up our cash, and it's killing our bottom line. Mine is an industry with nearly year-long lead times required to prepare for the busy and crucial holiday selling season. The uncertainty surrounding tariffs is devastating to our business and my industry because we need to know what things are going to cost us 3, 6, 12 months down the road. To me, this is simple. The Constitution of the United States grants Congress, not the President, the sole authority to levy tariffs. We need and needed the Senate to consider the needs of small and mid-sized businesses across America. We need and needed today the Senate to stand up for and protect the interests of our employees and our customers by taking back their legislative power. If import taxes are needed in specific circumstances, then they should be applied as they always have been in the past, in a thoughtful, measured, and predictable way that advances the cause of American business without hurting the people that run and work and shop at those same businesses. Thank you. Thank you, Senator. Thank you.
Beautiful job. Next, we're going to hear from Rachel Rosner, owner of Eldon Street Tea in Reston, Virginia. Welcome.
Thank you, Senator. Good evening. I'm Rachel Rosner, owner of Eldon Street Tea Shop, and you will see a sign in my shop that says, "The last time tea was taxed, there was a revolution." We are located in Reston, Virginia. For nearly 9 years, my small business has been a welcoming space where people connect, relax, and share life over a simple joy of tea. The teas my community cherishes, such as Ceylon from Sri Lanka, Golden Tips Assam, black tea from India, Dragonwell green tea from China, and Gyokuro green tea from Japan, physically cannot be grown in the United States at scale. There is no large-scale commercial tea farming here to support the hundreds of tea shops like mine across the country. And establishing tea plants takes years. There is no quick or local alternative. Because of tariffs, my suppliers are holding back on shipments or raising prices so high that it's unsustainable. I am now at risk of running out of my core products. If I can't sell tea, I can't pay rent. I can't keep my staff, one of which is an 81-year-old woman who loves selling tea. I can't stay open. After everything small businesses like mine have endured during the pandemic, it is frustrating to face yet another threat, this one caused by trade policy, not public health. Today, by the way, is International Tea Day. A reminder that while tea comes from abroad, the impact of tariffs lands squarely here at home. Let's pass the Small Business Liberation Act and give American small businesses a fighting chance.
Beautiful job. My mother had a cup of tea every day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon with a piece of vanilla cake. And I'm sure she will be shocked to know that we're going to try to cut off people like her access to tea in our country because we don't grow it here in the United States. And it's not going to happen in a week or a month or a year to substitute for all 5 for what they're trying to do. Next, we're going to hear from Kim Meckwood, owner of Click and Carry, Scranton, Pennsylvania. Welcome.
Thank you. Senator Markey, thank you so much for fighting for us. It means the world. I'm so sad to hear that the act did not pass today, but keep fighting. We'll get there. And I wanted to share who I am in my business and my obstacles. So as Senator Markey mentioned, I'm Kim. My company's Click and Carry. It's a simple bag handle that allows shoppers to manage and carry multiple bags at once comfortably in your hand or over your shoulder. And I manufacture in China. I tried several times to move manufacturing to the United States, and it's just too costly, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But I want to tell you that these tariffs are killing me. Let's just say, for an example, I bring in $150,000 worth of product in a 40-foot container. Usually I pay about $19,000 in taxes and duties. With the 145% tariff, you would add another $220,000 to that cost, which is insane. That would make it $390,000 because I still have to pay the taxes and the duties as well. And with the new 30% taxes, it's an extra $45,000 to $150,000, 30%, another $45,000. So plus the $19,000 in taxes and duties, that's another $65,000. Guess what? My margins are not that big. In fact, interestingly, I'm going to be on GMA tomorrow selling product I have to liquidate because I knew this was coming. And in the fall, I sold a whole bunch of stock, which was not smart. Actually, it turns out it was smart since the market crashed thanks to these tariffs. But I sold a whole bunch of stock, and I borrowed money so that I could buy another container because I'm moving into retail. I moved into Tractor Supply Company in the fall. I'm going into Lowe's. I'm going into Albertsons Safeway and Walmart Canada. But there's so much uncertainty. I already promised certain pricing to those retailers. I don't know from day to day what my cost is ultimately going to be. I even put about $10,000 last year into R&D to try to make my product in the United States. I've been working with some engineers out of Minnesota. And the product is not as well made. The resin still has to be brought in from overseas. A mold still has to be made in China because that's where the master mold making occurs. And then, if I'm lucky enough to find a manufacturer in the United States that could accommodate my mold, I have to add 2 automative robots to do the manual labor portion of creating a click and carry. And then that doesn't even count adding the packaging to that. So that would be increased manual labor that can't be done through automation in a robot. So I'm hoping that we can get rid of these taxes. I am so appreciative of you for fighting for us, and I hope that this Small Business Liberation Act ultimately gets passed, because we just can't continue to live in this kind of environment where we don't know from day to day if we're going to be able to continue in business. I've actually sharpened up my resume just in case. And one last thing that I forgot to mention is the de minimis clause. President Trump gave in and threw in the de minimis clause for 30%, and that was something that actually helped me with the tariffs, because the companies like Temu and Shein, they actually are able to send product in from China, knocked off product of my invention that I worked hard for and spent tons of money getting utility patents for. They could send product from China into the United States for less than I can send product from Pennsylvania to California. So that has to change. So thank you
You're
for
great.
fighting for us.
Thank you, and thank you
Thank
for what
you.
you're going to do on Good Morning America tomorrow.
Thank you.
We
Cross
want
your
to
fingers for me.
liberate small businesses from this onerous tax. I was just thinking, standing there, just analogously, if in March of this year, a kid got accepted to their dream college, and they were told it's going to cost $30,000, and then they show up for orientation day in August, and they say, oh, it's actually $40,000. We have recalculated based upon, well, the kid wouldn't have gone there. They would have made all kinds of different decisions. And that's what's hanging over the head of every small business, in the country right now. And to bat cleanup, Executive Director of the Main Street Alliance, Richard Trent's going to deliver the knockout conclusion.
I don't know about knockout. I don't know about all that. But I'm Richard Trent, the Executive Director for Main Street Alliance. We're a national network of small business owners that are fighting for an economy that works for all of us, not just the wealthy few. I want to start just by thanking you, Senator Markey, for your leadership on this issue.
Thank you, sir.
this work and connecting with these people is very personal for me because I was raised by a small business owner, a mother who ran a catering business out of our kitchen. So I know firsthand the hustle, the risk, and the pride that comes with building something from nothing. And I just feel like I was kind of made for this role of connecting with folks like you. And what I've been hearing over the last few weeks in conversations with small business owners from across the country is well, a lot of what we already know, right? That this is that these tariffs are nothing more than a backdoor tax on working class Americans, that they're inflationary, that they're disruptive, and they're punishing the very entrepreneurs that we should be backing. But there's another thing that we haven't been talking enough about, which is people are scared. Small business owners are scared right now, not just angry and not just frustrated. They're scared. And they're scared because they can't plan. And they're scared because they don't know what's coming next. And many of the small business owners in our network tell me that they haven't felt this level of uncertainty since COVID. So this is an existential crisis for our small business owners. For the antique store that is your in-laws' favorite place when they come into town, for the bar that you rely on your main street, those folks are scared and terrified right now. So let's be honest, if Trump had listened to Main Street first, instead of this billionaire insider chaos agent class, we wouldn't even be here. But we are here, and that's why we're calling for two things. First is for Congress to go back and pass the Small Business Liberation Act, which would exempt thousands of businesses from these disastrous tariffs and bring much needed relief to our local communities. The second thing is more aspirational, and it's asking legislators to commit to engaging with their constituents around policy shaping and listen to folks like this before you craft a policy. Go to the town hall, go to the round table, respond to that citizen's email, because these are the people that know better than anybody, better than any sort of billionaire insider, what actually works for Main Street. So if you felt what I've been saying, go to mainstreetalliance.org, join our cause. But please reach out to your legislators and let them know that the Small Business Liberation Act is a lifeline for the entrepreneurs that keep our main streets dynamic and vibrant. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Richard, so much. Thanks for everything that you are doing. We're going to keep the pressure on. We're not going to give up. We're going to make them back down. They're going to save at least the small businesses. Big businesses, well, back in the Civil War, both North and South, the soldiers had the very same saying. They each said that it was a rich man's war and a poor man's fight, meaning that the slave owners and the big textile industrialists, they could actually just pay $500 and get themselves out of the Civil War. But the ordinary soldiers, many of them just getting off the boat from some country in Europe, they couldn't get out of it. They couldn't buy their way out of it. So this is really what we have right now. It's a rich man's war. This trade war with China or with other countries in the world, but they're exempting themselves. They're going to Mar-a-Lago and paying $1 million to get Apple or Google or other companies out of it. But meanwhile, small businesses can't buy their way out of it. I won't call them poor man or poor woman's, but compared to those big companies, they are. They're living paycheck to paycheck. They're living week to week, month to month, customer to customer, just trying to eke out a living, okay? And those are the ones who are on the front lines. Those are the ones who are catching all of the economic flack, which is being shot out in this economic war with hundreds with potentially a couple of hundred countries in the world. Absolutely unacceptable, and we're going to fight with you until we win this. Any questions from anyone?
Senator Markey, can I jump in real quick?
Yes, sure.
I just wanted to say, to your point, this is supposed to be to bring manufacturing back to the United States. If that's the case, then why did Apple and Microsoft get an exemption when we can't afford an exemption? We can't do it, but the big companies, the ones that are enabled, that have the resources, the money to be able to build manufacturing here and do it quickly, they're exempt.
Thank
It's
you.
not fair.
And that's exactly the point. There are hundreds of thousands of people in China making iPhones. They don't want to make them here because it would be more expensive to the customer. They don't want to lose their customers. So they want them to be cheaper, but the jobs are over there in China. You know, that's where they make them. And in order to continue to make them and make a huge profit, because they don't have to pay American workers living wages, okay, they spend $1 million in Mar-a-Lago to get themselves out of it. Well, you could make iPhones in the United States, but you're not growing tea in the United States. Huh? That's not going to happen. So we're just trying to be realistic about this rich man's war, you know, and poor man's fight. Poor woman's fight as well. Huh? Just absolutely wrong. And you are 100% correct that this unequal playing field is one that we're going to win. And thank you each for continuing to raise your voices, because we cannot fail on this, because failure means the loss of so many small businesses that it will become a historical tragedy as we look back. So thank you all so much. No questions for anyone? Thank you. Thanks for being here.